Hey, Spitfire Audio brought back the ton this year, and it actually includes some pretty amazing libraries. So even though I didn't plan on getting anything new, I sort of had to buy it. In this video, I want to tell you why I think these libraries are great, and I want to show you how I intend to use them in my own music. This video isn't sponsored or paid for in any way, but if you want to support me and my channel, you can do that on buymeacoffee.com. My page is linked in the video description and in the pinned comment as well. But let's talk about the ton. This year, the bundle includes Spitfire Symphonic Motions, Symphonic Extras, and Spitfire Swarms. Symphonic Motions consists of rhythmic string ensemble patterns. Symphonic Extras is a collection of instruments that you can use in an orchestral context, but that are not part of your normal orchestra, like a plucked piano or a harpsichord or a steel drum, for example. And Spitfire Swarms is a mandolin ensemble, a marimba ensemble, and a harp ensemble. I've had these libraries for a few hours, so I haven't exactly written a full symphony with them, but I have written a little thing that I want to show you, and after that I will tell you how I made that and what went into it, and just in general what I like about these libraries. And it doesn't really have an end because it doesn't really have a structure. Like I said, I was just trying some stuff out and wanted to show you that. And now I will talk you through the individual layers of this track. So the first thing here is Symphonic Motions. I set this to a very simple rhythm and didn't do a lot with it. I will go into more detail in a different video because I want to make a dedicated comparison between symphonic motions and action strings. I think that's an interesting video idea. The key difference is that symphonic motions doesn't really do anything melodic, but it can make much more complicated rhythmic textures because you can layer different or layer isn't even quite the right word, but you can use different articulations at the same time. You can split them across the keyboard, and then some octaves will have pizzicato, for example, while others will have concertino or collegno, etc. I didn't really make much use of that for this piece, but like I said, I will make a dedicated comparison video. One thing that did stand out to me, though, is that some of the beginnings of the phrases sound a bit choppy and unnatural. This is a good one, and then I will give you one bad example. Listen to the very beginning of the phrase. And here's a bad one. Can you hear how that cuts into the note? That doesn't really sound natural, and it can stand out. In this piece, I don't know if you noticed this on the first listen, but if I isolate that here, you can actually hear that in this area here. The G and the G sharp sound a bit weird at the start of the phrase. Oh, that's too high. There's something wrong. You can combat that if you go into the attack settings here. But you need to be careful, because if you set the attack too high, then it will really fade into the phrase, and that's also not necessarily what you want. So yeah, that's better. But you shouldn't have to do that, in my opinion. So that's one thing that stood out to me, but I haven't spent that much time with it. Maybe it's not a huge deal when you use it more often, but I didn't really like that. The next thing that I used is the allophone. I have no idea how to pronounce that, as you can probably tell. I will isolate that as well. I really love all sorts of tuned metal percussion, so this is right up my alley. Then I used the harpsichord to double the melody of the violins here. And I also have a plugged piano here with some accompaniment, and it's also playing the melody for 8 bars here. I did, however, use rather heavy EQ for that piano, because if I didn't, I don't know if that's audible via YouTube, but this area here, there's just a little bit of noise that I didn't want in the mix. It's just a rough mix anyway, but still, I EQ'd that out. Then we are getting to the swarm instruments. Marimba swarm hits. So this is just a marimba ensemble, not playing the typical swarm thing that you will see with the other two tracks here. Just normal marimba hits with hard beaters. And I chose the close microphone position because for what I wanted to do there, the tree microphone was a bit too muddy. I can show you both the close and the tree. And so on. And here's the tree mic. There just wasn't enough definition for that particular idea. Not that it isn't a great sound, but for this particular case, I prefer the close mics. And then for the harp swarm and mandolin swarm, I used the tremolo articulation, which is closer to the concept of the library, I think. They are meant not to play melodies with individual plucked notes, but to create these beautiful textures. And to help with that, I put a very big delay sound on them. I will disable the delay here for a moment. So this is the harp swarm. That's just a beautiful sound in my opinion. And with the delay, I can actually show you what I did here in the piece. So the delay helps to get rid of the abrupt note ends, and allows you to create these harp waves, you could say, which are quite beautiful, I think. And I used the same delay on the mandolin swarm here, but the mandolin swarm is not playing these waves, but it's doubling the melody with the violins. And my favorite thing to do is just stacking all of them on top of each other. Let me do that as well, with the delay still enabled. And just in case you're curious, the other instruments here are the lush violins legato from Flatter Strings. Then there's a humming patch from Lacrimosa Choir from Edeo. And the bass drum is from Nucleus, actually. I don't really use Nucleus ever. Not because it's bad, just because I don't really need it anymore. I have specialized libraries for pretty much everything. But the bass drum is a particular favorite of mine, and I just like how it sounds. Just for fun. This is with a bit of extra reverb because it's pretty dry out of the box. It's actually not that spectacular, but because it's so dry, it doesn't really sound like an orchestral bass drum to me. Not that it sounds like, I don't know, a tambourine, but when I hear it, I don't think of an orchestra. I think of maybe a marching band, or you could even use it for something more medieval inspired. So that's why I like this bass drum for specialized tasks when I don't really want to think about a normal bass drum from a normal orchestra. So to sum this up, I think the Swarm library, or libraries actually, because it used to be 3 different libraries that got merged into one. This is just a really beautiful library. Like I said, put a delay and a reverb on top and you can just play it for hours and it sounds utterly amazing. And everything else is a nice bonus to me. Like I said, I really like tuned metal percussion, so that's a good thing. And Symphonic Motions, I wanted an alternative to Action Strings for a long time, because Action Strings, while I really like it, is super dry, and Symphonic Motions was recorded at Air, so it's not dry at all. And like I said, I will make a dedicated comparison video about that very soon. I will try to get that up before the sale ends. Okay, that's everything I have to say about Spitfire Audio's The Ton. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. But much more importantly, have a great time with your loved ones and happy holidays. See you soon. Bye.